On a stormy night, deep in the Amazon jungle, two friends, one accident. A landmine explosion changes everything. In a land where every breath comes at the price of death. Alone, Sophia, a stranger boy, and humans turned into prey. Hunters' camps, bloodthirsty beasts, swamp serpents. This is no ordinary journey. This is the final battle to return from the jungle of death. Two girls, Luna and Sophia, were traveling in a jeep towards the Amazon jungle. The jungle path was mountainous and dangerous, and they had gradually reached deep into its interior. Tall trees surrounded them, the sounds of birds echoed, and the air was heavy with humidity. Suddenly, the weather changed. Dark clouds gathered, heavy rain began, and with it came a terrifying storm. The mountain path became slippery from the rainwater. In that slippery mess, the jeep lost balance and tumbled into a ravine. With a loud crash and the sound of twisting metal, Luna and Sophia were badly injured. With great difficulty, they managed to crawl out of the jeep. Their clothes were covered in mud, and their bodies were bruised. The rain continued to pour, and the cold wind cut through their skin. They sat under a large tree, trying to find some shelter from the storm. Panting, Luna said, "We have to get out of here, this place isn't safe." But their biggest problem was that they no longer remembered the way back. They took whatever supplies they could salvage from the jeep and started walking. They had only gone a few steps when Luna's foot landed on something hard. Looking down, she saw it was an old land mine, a buried explosive hidden under the ground. The color drained from both their faces. Panicking, Sophia said, "Luna, don't move your foot. I'll run to the jeep and find something to save you." With that, she ran back toward the jeep. But in that moment, Luna was left alone. Suddenly, a large, heavy wolf leapt at her from behind. Luna lost her balance, her foot slipped off the landmine, and a terrible explosion erupted. The blast killed both the wolf and Luna instantly. Hearing the explosion, Sophia froze in her tracks. Her heart pounded as she ran back at full speed. When she arrived, Luna's lifeless body lay on the ground, and nearby was the dead wolf. Tears filled Sophia's eyes. In a trembling voice, she said, "I shouldn't have left you alone." The rain was still pouring. Sophia looked up at the sky with tearful eyes and whispered to herself, "I have to get out of here immediately, this place is a trap of death." Sophia wiped her tears, took a deep breath, and gripped her bag tightly. She paused for a moment by Luna's body, then tore a piece of cloth and gently placed it over her face. Her heart was heavy, but her mind knew staying here was an invitation to death. She began moving down the mountain path, but the storm's force and the rain's roar drowned out the sounds of the jungle. Suddenly, she heard rustling in the bushes nearby. Quickly, Sophia pulled out Luna's small hunting knife from her bag. Her breathing was fast, her hands shook, but her eyes stayed fixed on the bushes. From the bushes emerged a small local boy, no older than 10 or 11. A wooden amulet hung around his neck, and his clothes were soaked. He froze for a moment, then asked hesitantly, "Why are you here alone? This place is dangerous." Sophia paused, wondering if she could trust him, then replied, "My friend is dead. I want to get out of here." The boy silently nodded and motioned for her to follow. Sophia knew this might be her only hope, but somewhere deep down, she feared she might be walking into a trap. Sophia followed the boy. The rain had eased slightly, but the wind was still cold and cutting like a knife. The path was muddy, with water collected in several spots. The boy stepped carefully, occasionally glancing back to see if Sophia was still behind him. Eventually, they reached a dense area where the trees were so close together that the sky was hidden. The boy suddenly stopped and whispered, "Don't make any noise, ahead is hunter territory." Surprised, Sophia asked, "Hunters?" The boy nodded. "These people capture anyone lost in the jungle, or worse." Sophia's heartbeat quickened. She hadn't even recovered from Luna's death when a new danger presented itself. But the boy's serious expression told her he was telling the truth. A moment later, they hid behind the trunk of a dry tree. The boy pointed ahead. Not far away, 3 men stood with rifles on their shoulders and knives at their waists. They were laughing about something near a locked cage, inside which 2 frightened people were imprisoned. Sophia's heart sank. She whispered, "What do we do now?" The boy replied, "Now, we not only have to save you, but them as well." Sophia looked at the boy in surprise. "We? How can we save them? You're just a child." The boy smiled faintly, as if used to hearing that. "This jungle is my home. I know every path, every bush, every danger." He took out a small wooden map from his bag, marked with different symbols. "This is their camp," he pointed to one mark, "and this is a back route through the swamp. If we take it, they won't see us, but we have to hurry." Sophia took a deep breath. The grief of losing Luna was still heavy, but perhaps this was her chance to save someone else from meeting the same fate. They set off along the swamp path. Water reached up to their knees, feet sinking into the mud, surrounded by the sounds of frogs and insects. At one point, Sophia slipped and almost fell into the water, but the boy quickly grabbed her hand and pulled her up. "Quiet," the boy whispered. Sophia listened, and then felt it. In the mud ahead, something big was moving. Slowly, a massive, terrifying anaconda raised its head from the water, its red eyes fixed on them, tongue flicking in and out. The anaconda's red eyes locked onto Sophia and the boy. Its thick body rippled through the water, sending small waves outward. In a trembling voice, Sophia asked, What do we do?" The boy slowly opened his bag and pulled out a small shiny stone. "This is a special stone," he whispered. "Its light confuses animals." He wrapped the stone in a long leaf, then hurled it toward the other side of the swamp. It struck the ground and began to shine. The anaconda's gaze immediately shifted toward it, and it slithered away rapidly in that direction. "Now," the boy hissed. They took the chance and escaped the swamp, running onto a dirt trail. Minutes later, they reached the top of a hill from where the hunters' camp was clearly visible. A fire burned, the caged people sat in despair, and the 3 hunters kept watch. The boy looked at Sophia and said, "This is it. We either succeed, or this will be our last day." Night had fallen. Clouds hid the moon, and light rain still whispered through the jungle. Sophia and the boy climbed down the hill and crept closer to the camp. The boy handed Sophia an old hunting net. "If anyone chases us, use this." They crawled forward in the shadows of the bushes. Up close, Sophia saw that one hunter was dozing, another drinking from a bottle, and the third sat near the cage sharpening his knife. The boy motioned for Sophia to move to the right while he went left. Her heart pounded, but she pushed forward. She examined the cage lock, rusty, but still strong. Suddenly, a dry twig snapped under her foot. The hunter on guard instantly stood up, swung his torch around, and spotted her. "Who's there?" he growled, stepping closer. Sophia quickly threw the net, but the hunter cut it with his knife and closed the distance in 2 strides, a dangerous smile on his face. "Prey walked right into my hands." The hunter yanked Sophia's arm hard, but at that moment, the boy lunged from behind and bit into his ankle. The hunter screamed in pain and let go. Seizing the moment, Sophia pulled out her knife and slashed his arm. The commotion brought the other 2 hunters running. The camp descended into chaos. The boy rushed to the cage, slid his thin hands through the bars, and signaled the prisoners to step back. He pulled out a small explosive packet from his bag, quickly placed it near the lock, and signaled Sophia. "Close your eyes." With a blast, the rusty lock shattered, and the cage door swung open. The prisoners rushed out, but now the hunters surrounded them on all sides, faces red with rage, weapons gleaming. Sophia looked around. She knew that without a bold move, they would all die. She grabbed a large burning piece of wood and shouted, "Back off! Or I'll burn this whole camp down." The hunters hesitated for a moment, but one laughed and said, "You don't know. This fire will destroy you, not us." The hunter's circle tightened. Sophia swung the burning wood and tossed it into the corner of a tent. The fabric caught fire instantly, and chaos erupted in the camp. The boy waved to the prisoners to run toward the bushes. Sophia turned to follow, but a hunter grabbed her hair and yanked hard. She screamed, but a prisoner struck the hunter from behind with a rock, knocking him down. The fire spread quickly, smoke stinging their eyes. Despite the rain, the flames didn't die. The tents were stuffed with dry grass. Sophia and the others fled into the bushes, but the hunters were still in pursuit. The boy shouted. "The swamp path. They won't follow us there." They raced to the swamp's edge, but fate wasn't ready to let them escape so easily. A gunshot rang out, striking one prisoner in the shoulder. He collapsed in pain. Sophia ran back to help him, but by then, the hunters were almost upon them. The rain had turned into a storm. Thunder rolled through the jungle, and every flashlight beam cast eerie shadows among the trees. Sophia supported the injured prisoner and followed the boy, but the hunter's footsteps grew louder. The boy pushed Sophia aside and said, "Take them and go. I'll hold them off." "No," Sophia shouted. "You can't fight them alone." But the boy didn't answer. He slipped into the bushes and suddenly whistled sharply. Moments later, figures emerged from the trees, not hunters, but members of the boy's own tribe. They carried long bamboo spears and bows with arrows. The two groups faced off. The hunters roared and charged, but the tribe members formed a circle around Sophia and the prisoners. Spears rose, arrow tips aimed directly at the hunters. Sophia seized the moment, helping the injured prisoner toward the swamp. Behind her, the sounds of battle echoed, clashing blades, the thud of spears, footsteps in the rain. As she crossed the swamp, she caught one last glimpse of the boy, fighting bravely alongside his tribe. Sophia got the injured prisoner across the swamp. Her breath was ragged, her clothes soaked with mud and blood, but one prayer filled her heart: that the boy and his tribe would survive. Soon, footsteps approached from the bushes. Sophia gripped her knife, but the next moment, the boy appeared. A cut marked his arm, but he was smiling. "We did it," he panted. The hunters ran away. Tears filled Sophia's eyes as she hugged the boy. "You saved our lives. I'll never forget this." The tribe members helped the wounded prisoners toward their village. Hidden among tall trees, the settlement welcomed them, treated their wounds, and gave them warm food. That night, sitting by the fire, Sophia looked up at the sky. The storm had passed, and stars shone brightly. Luna's face was still clear in her memory, but there was a strange peace in her heart, perhaps because she hadn't let someone else suffer the fate Luna had. She whispered to herself, "This jungle is both a trap of death, and a gift of life." The boy smiled at her words and said, "The jungle is never good or bad, it's the people who decide what it becomes." Sophia made a decision in her heart: she would return one day, not as a hunter, but as a protector.